back to the Maths Lecture Chapter 9. So our topic today will be Chapter 9, Budgeting. Budgeting is an important topic for this subject. Okay, it is among the very important topic. So make sure you follow the lesson and pay attention. Let's see how is our outline for this topic. We will start with understanding what is budget. After what is budget, we must know what will be the role of budgets. There are several roles of budget, which budget is among important tools and application applicable to the business. Number 3, types of budget. So we're going to learn several types of budget. For example, static budget, cash budget, and flexible budget. As an introduction, I would like to see your level of understanding before we learn this topic. So, let's do a bit of activity. Alright, so please write in the meeting chat under my announcement today. Under the announcement of maths lecture, you write, what do you understand by budget? Okay, I believe the term budget is a well-known, heard all this while. Okay, so if you haven't heard or haven't encountered this term before, please write, I haven't known budget before in the announcement chat. Now, let's take a 5 minutes activity. Imagine you have been given 1,500 ringgit per month for your part-time employer. So let's say you work for part-time and you have 1,500. So I would like you to draw in your OneNote your budget, how you will utilize this 1,500 ringgit. Look, focus on how you're going to spend and utilize the 1,500 ringgit. Number 2, focus on how you will present your budget. How is your formatting of the budget? You don't have to look at any format available, okay? But you use your common sense on how you will prepare your own budget. Let's see how it look like. So submit your drawings in your OneNote, and of course, it will be part of the attendance. Now, let's learn what is budget. Budget is a quantitative statement that explains action plan to be taken by an organization's management to fulfill objectives specified in the plan. Right. So let me elaborate on that. So every organization will have their own objective. So from this objective, they must set the strategy how to ensure that their objectives will be met. One of the tools that organizations always use is budget. Okay, so budget, when they prepare budget, it will be in terms of quantitative, and it will be in terms of financial in nature. Okay, it will involve different types of resources and they will specify how much is it for each of the allocation. Right. So that is why it's quantitative and it is presented to the board as a report or statement. So later we're going to learn how the statement will look like. So roughly, budget is a tool in order to achieve the objective of organization. It is one of the tools. Look at this chart. From the organization's objective, organization objective is set towards achieving organization's overall aims. So in order to achieve the objective, the management must set relevant strategy which based on the critical success factor. Set the strategy to achieve objective. So one of the tools apply is budget. Budget is as one of the many tools available to support the implementation of the strategy. Right. Among the budget that we always hear is every year is a national budget. So let's look at the national budget 2020, right? The original budget before adjustment been made. Okay, so let's say national budget for 2020 will be tabled. Okay, will be presented to the citizens of Malaysia. So in Malaysia, budget 2020 has been tabled in Parliament on 11 October. So it means a year before. Okay. So previous year as well, same thing happened. In order to present for budget 2019, they has been tabled in 2018. So the budget has been tabled a year before. Because the nature of budgets is just a forecast. So it must be gone through the process of argument, filtering, justification in the parliament. So that's why it has been tabled a year before. Okay. Upcoming budget 2021 has been tabled expected on 6th November 2020. So you know what happened, right? So what are the point that I would like to highlight here is budget has been used to present the government incentive and direction. Government incentives and direction. Which area government focus on this year? Which part government would like to encourage this year? Okay, so government direction is presented in the national budget. Right? Same with company as well. When company make their own budget, which allocation, which part will receive the major allocation? It shows the importance of the activities required or encouraged by the company. Let's say, if the training, budget for training has been increased this year, it means that the company management encourage skill development among its employees for this year. Right? So you can see the direction of the management. So 70% of government revenue comes from tourism. When you do budget, you must remember, budget is not only expenses, but it must show the sources of income as well. For a country, a sources of income is come from tax, and 70% of the government revenue comes from tourism-related tax. Okay, during 2020, let's talk about several like a general knowledge. Okay, oil price has been fall from USD 61 to USD 34 per barrel, which is very significant, and they are expected to fall even more. So definitely, along the way, budgets need to be revised. So budget, when it prepared, it not necessarily been followed until the end, but we can adjust it along the way depending on the environment, business environment. Now let's talk about the role of budgeting. Part of it I have mentioned when we talk about national budget just now. Okay? So one of the role of budgeting is controlling. So when management prepare budget, they want to control the scenario operation in the business. Okay? For example, management want to control costs incurred in the business. So they set the level of costs can be incurred per department or per activities. Okay, that is controlling role of budgets. For example, you are in department, production department, and it has been set that your department can incur maximum of 1 million cost only, cost of production. So the supervisor and manager, the leader of the department, will ensure that the cost incurred in the department must be within the limit. Okay? It must not go beyond it. Otherwise, it will show that their performance is questionable. Right? They need to evaluate why the cost increased beyond the budget. So that is the purpose of budget controlling. Right. Second role of budget is coordination. Coordinate. Sometimes in certain projects in business, they require coordination between departments. For example, they want to have a project of green environment. For example, they need to produce a product which has a green environment and get a qualification, recognition. So they may need to work together, production department and the, for example, quality. Alright, so these two departments need to work together, and in order to ensure that they work together, budget is set on the project itself. Budget is given on the project, not on personal department. Okay, so when the budget is allocated per project, so this fund will be shared among departments in order to ensure they can meet the objective. So that is number 2, coordination. Coordinate departments using project or activity. Number 3 is authorizing and delegating. Sometimes in business, when it grows bigger, larger, expand, they may need to delegate the power of decision making to the subordinates. So in order to give the power, they shall allocate the budget per that particular department. Okay, for example, in Sunway College, we have several programs, and one of it is Sunway Diploma Studies. And for Sunway Diploma Studies, we have several programs, for example, DBA, CBS program. So, budget shall be allocated per the program. Reason? Because the program shall organize their own activity to meet the objective. The head of Sunway College, CEO of Sunway College, delegate the power to the subordinates. Okay, that is number 3, authorizing and delegating power. Number 4, evaluation of performance. We will do this in our flexible budget calculation. Evaluation of performance. How budget is used to evaluate performance is by comparing actual to the budget. If the actual cost is beyond the budget, exceed the budget, that's not shown a good performance. It shows that the department unable to control its costs, right? But on the other hand, if the department incur costs far low compared to the budget, it also indicates not good performance, because is the department do their work or not? Okay, we can question in that way. So further investigation shall be done in order to know what happened to that department, why the budget is exceeding, or why the actual is exceeding the budget or far too low compared to budgets. Okay, that is in terms of cost budget. If we think about sales budget or income budget or revenue budget, we want it to be more. So if it is far more beyond budget, it's good. But if it is low, the business need to reevaluate as well. Why is it low? Even if the business achieve far higher as well, the business need to investigate as well what will be the factor that makes the revenue shoot beyond its budget, right? The last role of budget is communicating and motivating. Okay, I give you simple example. In order for the company to control its costs, they give a budget for costs, right? And not only that, they make it as part of the key performance indicator for the manager manage the departments. So we have the budget, means we have the target for the department. We put it as part of the KPI or performance measure. So the manager involved will be inspired or motivated to control its costs beyond within the limit. Okay, so that is the 5th role of budget. Alright, when we prepare budget, we always prepare it in the layout of income statement, because towards the end we want to see how is the profitability of the business. So we always start with sales budgets as a revenue part. Sales budget as a revenue part, and then followed by production budget. Production budget is where we want to make our product available. And since production is a bit complex, it involves several material, labor, overhead, as we have learned in the previous topics. Okay, we have to do budget for each of the part as well. And then we can also um, look at the admin part, selling distribution part, and the total or summary of the cost of goods sold budgets. Okay, you can refer to this diagram and see the structure of the budgets. So when we look at this budget preparation, the principal budget factor is starting point in the process is sales or revenue. So in step 1, we must understand how many units can be sold and we times with the selling price. Step 2. Production budget. Production budget relates to the how many units must be produced to meet the budgeted sales level. So the production units times cost of each unit. The cost of each unit shall be calculated by calculating each raw material cost, labor cost, and factory overhead. Next is selling and distribution budget and general and admin expenses budget. That is a non-production budget. So, as a master budget, it will look like income statement style, which is budgeted statement of profit, and supplement by cash budget and statement of financial position budget. So let's see what is master budget. Master budget for an entire organization. Bring together departments or activity budget for all the departments or responsibility centers within the organization. So master budget we can say as a compilation of all small department business units organizations budget we compile all together present in one master budget. Next is functional budget. Functional budget is the structure of a budget depend on the nature of organization and its operation. In a manufacturing organization, budgeting process will probably consist of several functioning department or business units. So, for example, production or factory will have their own budget. Administration department will have their own budgets. Finance department has their own budgets. Human resource department will have their own budgets. So this is what we call as functional budgets. So in summary, when we prepare master budget, we compile all these functional budget to become one master budget. Now, let's see the difference between cash budget and flexible budget. So, cash budget is the estimation of cash flow of the business over specified period of time. So, the budget is to assess whether the entity has sufficient cash to operate. So, in cash budget, since cash is the star in here, so we will think of cash in, cash out. What are the items require cash in and cash out? And we present in cash budget format. So when we prepare cash budget later, when we prepare cash budget later, we must see the inflow of cash and the outflow of cash. We will compare these two and get the difference, and we will calculate the surplus or deficit produced. Number 2 is flexible budget. Flexible from its words itself, there is a factor that will changing. So the variable of factors that is changing in flexible budget is level of production units. Level of production units. So for example, in a factory, they may have to produce at several levels. For example, 20,000 units. However, if the economy is very bad, probably they have to reduce their production level or their production units at 15,000 units. But if the economy is well and flourish well, okay, so the factory may want to produce at 25,000 units. So when we prepare budget, we have to prepare for several scenarios like this. Best case scenario, okay, neutral, and worst case scenario. Okay? Right. So this is the end of our math lecture. We will continue the calculation part during tutorial class. So if you have any question, please list down inside your book or inside the meeting chat so that later we will discuss about the your question during the tutorial class. Alright, see you. Bye.